cloudy Saturday with a high in the upper 50s. At Louisville, the low tonight in the mid-40s. Partly cloudy Saturday with a high in the upper 50s. And at New Orleans, the low tonight in the low 60s. Partly cloudy Saturday, the high in the mid-70s. The agricultural weather forecast for southeast Missouri and the Bootheel.
Presenting the 1984 Sikeston Freshman Band, directed by Mr. Ed. The freshman drum major is Shelley Meeks. The freshman twirlers are Lori Davis, head twirler Sarah Jarvis, and Lisa Davis. Would you please stand for the invocation by the Reverend Mike Hodges and remain standing for the national anthem.
Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence tonight at this football game. We pray that you'd protect the players, the coaches, the officials, and help us as spectators to give the proper way of showing sportsmanship and giving our best in cheering them on. We pray, Lord, that you would help us to realize that you're concerned not only about a football game, but about our whole lives. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Public School Stadium. We're not going to really encourage you tonight to come out, I guess, because it's a little cold tonight. Got a pretty good breeze, and the Bulldogs will take on the Dexter Bearcats. Both teams have the, I think, identical records, 3-1, and it looks like it ought to be a good ball game. What do you think, George?
Well, Jim, first about the weather, it's a good football night, and I'm certainly glad that I'm up in the stands here, but in this press box with you, and instead of maybe out in the stands somewhere, which we have plenty of space for anybody if they want to come out and watch. Both teams do come into tonight's game 3-1. I would agree that Sikeston's competition has been a little better than what Dexter's has, but each team has 3 victories and 1 loss at this stage.
Looks like we're having a little bit of audio trouble. It's beginning to come through a little bit now. Okay. Let's start with the Sikeston offensive alignment, and we'll head from there into the Dexter defense. Hopefully we win the toss, and maybe that'll be what happens for us tonight. At the tight end will be Chris Vandenbroek, number 88. He'll weigh in at 180 pounds. He's a junior. Number 70 is the strong side tackle, Jay Greenwood. He's a senior, weighing in at 250 pounds. The strong side guard will be Tom Pruitt, number 71, 225-pound senior. The center, as the Bulldogs come onto the field, will be Mark Hammer, number 51, 175-pound senior. The weak side guard is Jeff Lester, number 52. He weighs in at 210, and he's a senior. The weak side tackle is Dana Carter. He's number 74, 215, junior. The wingback will be Derek Tennant, 170-pound senior, wearing number 30. The split end, Greg Grant. He's a junior, weighing in at 145 pounds, and he'll wear number 14. Number 12 is the quarterback, Scott Carmody. He's a 165-pound senior. The fullback is Ken Latham, a 175-pound senior. He'll weigh our number 27. And the tailback is Dennis Bean, a 195-pound senior, wearing number 45. George, any thoughts as to what the Bulldogs and the Bearcats might be trying tonight?
Well, I look for the Bulldogs to have an improved game over last week's, which was a vast improvement of over the week before, due to the fact that Carmody's had 3 or 4 extra days of practice at running the football team at quarterback now, although he did turn in a good performance last week. But just the added experience and practice of running the football team should be to our advantage tonight.
Both teams have complained a little bit about their passing game so far.
Or the lack of.
Or the lack of. I guess that would be a better way to describe it. Part of that, I think, particularly on the Bulldogs team, has been that they really have had a game plan of running.
Well, certainly with Dennis Bean in the backfield, you're going to establish your run first, and very few teams, if any, have been able to stop Dennis, very good. So naturally, if your number 1 offense is to run, and complemented by Gary Ellis last week, who had a fine game running from the wing back, and Ken Latham at the fullback, and some of the reserves have run real well. So really the necessity to pass for the Bulldogs, with the exception of maybe the Kirkwood game, just hasn't really been there. Now last week we expected Poplar Bluff to put the ball up in the air much more than what they did, and we're a little surprised at certain points when they didn't pass when we felt like they should have. I think Dexter tonight is basically sort of like Poplar Bluff in that they're big, their ground game is their basic offense, and they only throw when they have to.
I think also Sikeston appears to me that, particularly in the second game, they have a couple of boys that can catch that football. They've got good hands on them. And I think it's just been a strategy so far that, as you say, with Dennis Bean in the backfield, you run that ball until somebody stops him. And I would suspect that if it gets to it, we may see a little more passing tonight.
Yeah, I think maybe tonight, like we say, Carmody's had an extra few days to run the offense and to work with his receivers, so we may see when it's necessary to pass that Scott may put it up. He does have some fine receivers: Chris Vandenbroek, Greg Grant, Derek Tennant, Gary Ellis, all good receivers. If just a matter of getting the football to them.
We must have brought them luck, because they do get to kick the ball, I guess. So we'll try to turn our luck around for them. At least they'll get it the second half, and we found in the last couple of games that has made could make a considerable difference. Carmody has it teed up as he kicks off. The Bulldogs are defending the north goal. They're going from left to right on your screen as the Bearcats bring the ball back to the 35-yard line, and they will start the first series of downs from the 35.
Scott Hastings for the Bearcats fielded that kickoff, and again, I think the second or third week we've seen that the receiving team has let that ball hit the ground, which we've talked about before is not a very good thing to let happen. But Scott is one of the starting backfield people for Dexter.
And he had an awful good week last week. If you watched the television, he was KFBS's
Player of the Week.
Player of the Week. Looks like the Bulldogs are going to try to put the pressure on him.
That's Hastings there.
As he tries the outside, he'll pick up a couple of yards maybe. The quarterback is Eric Jones. He's wearing number 12 for the Bearcats. So it'll be 2nd and 8 if we've just opened the ball game of the Sikeston Bulldogs against the Dexter Bearcats. We've got a strong wind, or a strong breeze, I guess would be better to say, from the northeast and blowing toward the southwest. The give is to Hastings again, and he went somebody right in underneath there. I'm not sure who that is.
Again, that may have been 92 Ron Sells that came across the line.
Sure
he was
did.
one number that was getting up toward the bottom of the pile.
He sure did, and he went right in under it, and they looked like he had two boys trying to block down on him, and he just kept coming through and pick up the running back. Good play by Ron Sells. It'll be 3rd and about 8, as they didn't pick up anything on that. Bearcats are in the split backfield. Looks like Jones rolls to pass. Uh-oh. It's completed, but I think he is short.
Number 44, Joe Hunter, was the receiver on the end of that Jones pass.
Good-sized boy. He lists in at 205 pounds.
That's
nice.
A load for a tight end.
Sure
there.
is. We were just discussing how many big boys, or seem like big boys, over 200 pounds, there are playing high school ball now.
Yeah, week after week, each team that's come in here has had 4 or 5 or 6.
As it'll be Hunter back to kick, and
Greg Grant. Mm-hmm.
Deep for the Bulldog. Looked like it was supposed to be a play, and that is not roughing the kicker, because the ball had been touched by other player, and that would not be roughing the kicker then.
Yeah, that's correct. That was a bad snap and hit the ground, and he is no longer a punter then. He's fair game.
It looked to me like they were trying to snap it to the up man, and he fumbled it.
That could have been. That ball bounced a couple of times before the punter was able to find the handle on it. Good field position for the Bulldogs. We've talked about field position being an important factor in high school football, and the Dogs start now on about their own 46. Good starting out position here.
Hopefully they can take it from here and put 7 on the board to start off with.
Yeah, it's always good to break on top first.
The Bulldogs are in their I formation with the slot on the backside.
No surprise there.
A little interesting setup as they slanted their slot man in, and he did the blocking this time.
Yeah, that's the wingback Ellis out there, who's really been a multi-purpose back for the Bulldogs. He also starts on defense. It did have him at an angle, and he led the play into the secondary and gave Dennis a nice block.
The wing comes to this side as the slot goes to the far side. The give is to Dennis, and he comes right back upfield. He made a good cut. He'll pick up 5 or 6 yards, and it'll be a 3rd and about 2 or 3. Ball has to just cross the 45 of the Bearcats, and it looks like it's just a little short of the 46. So we're, let's say, a 3rd and a yard and a half.
The Bulldogs continue to shuttle their plays in with Ellis and Tennant from the sidelines from Coach Vickery.
Split to the far side. The wing goes to the far side as they go into the split backfield this time. The give is to Dennis, and if they give him his full forward progress, he will be past the 45. I'm not sure they're going to do that, though.
I believe they're going to mark that just this side.
So it'll be 4th and short yards in the Bearcats territory, but it looks like the Bulldogs are going to go for it.
Latham
No,
really
they're
exploded through the hole on that play. I thought he might have had the football there early, but then the second back, Bean, had it.
A little high snap, but he gets the kick off. It's a good kick as it sends him back. Uh-oh, it's a fumble, and the Bulldogs get it. Bulldogs recover. That was Vandenberg on the Vandenbroek on the recovery for the Bulldogs, and they'll take it at about the 6 or 7 yard line of Dexter.
Yeah, tough break for the Bearcats. That was just something simply that that player should have fair caught that ball, or he needed someone to advise him to get away from it, or at least fair catch it. But he attempted to catch it, went right through him, and the Bulldogs recover. Another good break for the Dogs.
Good punt. It had good hang time. It gave his men to get time to get downfield to cover that punt.
Yeah, 3 or 4 Bulldogs are standing around waiting for that one to come down.
The give is to Bean as he tries it off guard and on the right side, and he may pick up a yard or two.
Dennis hit pretty hard in the hole there by the Dexter's nose guard, Tim Flanagan, 220-pound senior.
They've got a couple of boys in there that are pretty good size. This Parsons kid is about 255 as listed on the program.
They start out 220, 220, 255, and 218, their first 4 weights.
We get a timeout. Carmody didn't like something that he saw, so he calls a timeout after they go to the line. The Bulldogs have it on just across the 5 yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal to go for the Bulldogs. We've got 7:02 left in the first quarter, no score. This was really the first series of offensive downs for the Bulldogs. The Bearcats took their first 4 and had to punt. Bulldogs brought it down, and on the 4th they punted, but they recovered a fumble on the punt by Dexter, and that's where they are at the present time.
This game wraps up our 4-game homestand tonight. Bulldogs, due to a quirk in the scheduling, have had a 4-game month of September here for home games, and this one wraps it up, and then they go on the road for a couple of weeks. I hope next year that there's a little adjustment done and they're not away for the whole month of September.
It will be exactly a flip-flop,
what I
said, yes. They will have the same teams and it will be a flip-flop, so they will be away 4 games in a row.
We'll see them the first week and then we'll see them for 5.
That's right. Our next home game will be the October the 19th, the Central Tigers. The give is to
Bean, and he's in.
He's in. Touchdown as he slanted off tackle on the left side. And that's a good score for the Bulldogs. It's a good time to pick up 7 as they convert the fumble by the Dexter Bearcats. And with 6:56 left in the first quarter, the Bulldogs go up by 6 as they prepare to kick for the extra point.
Yeah, good blocking up front by the offensive line. Greenwood, Pruitt, Hammer, Lester, and Carter in there, and opened up a big hole for Dennis, and he took it in for the touchdown.
They really did have a big hole for that, didn't they? Carmody will do the kicking. Tennant is the holder for the Bulldogs.
Dexter's jumped.
Looks like they jumped a little quick.
The offsides Bearcats.
So that'll move it halfway to the goal.
A lot of times in this situation, Jim, you see the other team change their mind and go for 2. Carmody will continue to kick.
Looks like they're just going to reset it and try it again. Snap is good. Down, up, and it looks good. So with 7:56, the Bulldogs up by 7 as they start this ball game with the Dexter Bearcats.
Well, that's a good sign, Jim. The Bulldogs got a break with a fumbled punt and took it on down and marched it in. That's what you've got to do. You've got to take advantage of the breaks that you get or the breaks that you make and put some points on the board, and that's what the Dogs have done.
They sure did, and it's good to see them convert those mistakes by the other side to something for them.
Yes, it is. That's a mark of a good team to be able to do that consistently.
Is that Carmody teeing it up again? I guess it is. I looked a little bigger at this end.
That may be 42, Chris Taylor.
I was going to say that.
Chris has done some kicking for the Bulldogs, and I believe that's Chris that has it teed up.
The Bulldogs will kick off with a 7-0 lead. They'll be kicking with the wind. He gets his foot into it. It gets down to about the 12, 13-yard line. It's a reverse as they tried. Still read pretty good. A missed tackle, but he had it read.
Gary Ellis down real quick and turned that runner back to the inside, and then help came and the tackle was made. They weren't fooled by the reverse then.
So the Dexter Bearcats will take over on their second series of offensive plays from the 21, their own 21. That's pretty good defensive position for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, a couple of games ago, when I guess it was the Charleston game, that the Bulldogs got burned on a reverse play. I think since then they've learned their lesson, and that's a hard way to learn it. But they're covering their punts and their kickoffs now, and everybody's staying at home.
Yeah, you almost have to stay in those lanes or you can really get burned by that reverse. Nice pass to Hunter as he looks like he's picked up his 1st and 10 as Jones rolled to his right.
That's a good play. Tight end just went down about 10 or 12 and out to the flats, and Jones rolled to his right and hit Hastings.
I thought it was a very good play because the Bulldogs were giving him some pressure, and he threw over the pressure and into a well-covered area.
Mm-hmm.
The Bearcats in and I. The give is to the tailback, and he's smothered right there. He may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage, but not much further than that.
Hastings is only listed at 145 pounds. Maybe one of the smallest tailbacks that we've gone up against thus far this year, although there's some big linemen up in front of him. But we've seen some awful big running backs that the Bulldogs have had to defend, but Hastings only in at 145.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting as they put the other running back in. The Slaving boy is a 190-pounder.
Probably used mainly as a blocker or leading Hastings through the holes on occasions. He's awfully close to the line, the fullback.
He sure is. The give is to Hastings, and there's a mess up right there. It looks like they didn't get a clean handoff, and they're smothered. They've lost maybe a yard or two on that play.
Yeah, I don't know if some of the Bulldogs were aggressive and got across the line and messed that play up, but there was a bad handoff or exchange, people running together in their backfield.
The center of the line did come across awful fast, it looked like to me.
Yeah, I think that's probably what caused them some trouble then.
And as you mentioned, they look like the backs line up awful close to the quarterback.
Well, even in the split, they're up near the line of scrimmage.
As Jones drops right back, and it's the old Statue of Liberty play. As he gets, he may pick up a yard or two. He just took too long to develop there.
Well, again, well covered by the Bulldogs over on the far side. The people that were responsible for the outside were there and stopped the play.
Good defense. With 4:40 left in the first quarter, it looks like the Bulldogs are going to get a chance again at the ball. Should end up in pretty good field position again, as the Bearcats will be kicking from their own 20. And Greg Grant drops back to the Bulldogs' 32 or 3 yard line.
Good kick against the wind.
Sure is. As he fields the ball, he makes a fake one way, and he's down right on the 30-yard line as they really covered the ball.
Yeah, well-covered punt by Dexter in that situation. Good kick by Hunter against the wind. Good hang time and good spiral.
On that kickoff and the punt returns, there's just not much room for hesitation, is there?
No.
You have to make that decision in a hurry.
Yeah, either get it caught and get upfield or get away from it and let the other team down it.
Carmy will come up under as...
I got Bean in the slot here.
Sure do. They split both sides and put Bean in the slot. One man in the backfield is...
Latham.
And that's Latham as he tries to slip off to the left side, and he'll pick up maybe a yard or so, but not much more than that.
Maybe a formation we haven't seen yet with Dennis in the slot and one back and left in the backfield.
Yeah, suspicion they're trying to set up something.
I do too, yeah.
So it'll be 2nd and 9 with 3:40 left. Bulldogs are ahead, 7-0. Out of the eye they come. The wing on the left as Carmody barks the signals. The give is to Bean, and he comes up to about the 35-yard line. It'll be third and about 6 yards to go.
Dennis running in behind Pruitt and Greenwood.
Two big boys, and they do a good job of blocking, make good holes for that backfield.
Yes, they do.
So with 3 minutes left, as the Bulldogs try to put some more on the board, they come out, slot comes, put the wings on each end, split them out on each side, split the backfield. Is that an unbalanced line?
They have run that, yeah.
And a good catch. Let's see what they call it.
Yeah, I thought that ball may have oozed out of Dennis's hands there, and
they're gonna give it to him. I believe they're gonna give it as. No, they're not. I guess they. I first thought they were gonna.
The down marker man across the way had moved the
had
stake.
moved too. He sure did.
He thought it was a completion. But we'll bring up a 4th down for the Bulldogs. I don't think he didn't. Well, it was awful close to the 1st and 10, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was within it, and I believe we got cheated about a yard on that thing, with the man picking up his. Yeah, they're checking again. They're going to move it back up. There we go, back up to the 35. Now we're ready. Who we got deep for Dexter? Number 36. That's
short punt. Taking a Bulldog roll.
Sure did. Got a good roll and got it down past the 35 into about the 34-yard line. As we move down to about 2:15 left in the first quarter. The Bulldogs still clinging to the 7-point lead. Looks like the wind has died down quite a bit too. The flag is kind of limp right now.
It was straight out a minute ago. I think the TV monitor there said before they started telecasting it was like 2 or 4 miles per hour, but that flag was straight at that point.
That makes it a little bit colder too, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's why I'm glad we're in this booth.
Jones fades back to pass and hits. Is that Hastings? Is it 21?
21, Brian Miller.
He's a 160-pound junior for the Dexter Bearcats. It looks like they like to throw that flat pass, either the straight drop back or the roll, and try to hit it in the flat.
With that quarterback rolling out, he can buy himself a little time. He can try to roll out and get away from some of the pressure that's coming in from the big Bulldog lineman. But he threw that ball well, and the receiver was well covered, but it took a nice pass to get it in there.
Out of the eye, the Bearcats will run. Give it to the tailback, and he'll pick up 2 or 3 yards, and as he comes across the 40 down to about the 41-yard line of the Dexter Bearcats. So it'll be 3rd and about 4. Number 15 comes out. That's the wingback for the Dexter Bearcats, and they're still in the eye.
They've got a stack eye
now. Oh, they've
now.
got a stacked eye, don't they?
Oh.
And again, they looked like the quarterback was trying to sneak, and I guess the blocker was supposed to be ahead of him, but they weren't sure.
Slow.
Sure wasn't. They, again, that the fullback looks like he's lining up awful close to that quarterback. He was not even a body's length away from him.
No, the purpose there, and as big as what he is, they basically use him as a blocker, and he may not be that quick, and he can get to the hole a little quicker if he does scoot up toward the line.
Let him cheat a little bit.
Watch out.
Ooh. As that ball rolls down to about the 11-yard line as the first quarter comes to an end, Bulldogs are ahead 7-0. As we'll change ends, and the Bulldogs will defend the south goal, running from right to left on your screen. They're backed up deep this time.
Pretty quick quarter there, the first one, basically all running. Dexter did put up a couple of passes out in the flat, but it was mostly the ground game for this first quarter.
Very few incomplete passes. He was, I would guess, 4 or 5 for 6, 3 for 5. So the Bulldogs will start their offense from their own 12. It's like 12-yard line. The winds began to pick up a little bit again, and it will be against the Bulldogs this time. Split comes to this side, the man on the wing in the slot on this side. Carmody takes the cut, and he is number 31, 33. That'd be Slavings. That's number 33, I believe.
Yeah, that was Slavings.
He looked like he just grabbed a leg.
Yeah, kind of desperation type of play, but he got enough of Carmody to bring him down. Otherwise, Scott may have gone for a long way then.
I was going to say, it looked like he had a big hole. He'd cut up field as he had originally looked like he was trying to get outside. He saw the hole open up a little inside and was cutting up field. And actually, they blocked Slaving pretty well.
Yeah, he did. He fought off a block and then was able to make the tackle.
The pitch is to Bean. He tries upfield, and again, he's upset. Maybe a yard or so, and it'll be...
I believe number 40, Shane Williams, came across the line and made a good tackle for the Bearcats on Dennis.
And again, it was a loss. So it's going to be 3rd and about 12 for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, back inside their 10.
Dangerous territory. Out of the eye. Crossbuck as he comes back up through, and I believe he's almost got his 1st and 10. He's down to close to the 20-yard line. He's going to have to cross the 20 to get his 1st and 10, but it's going to be close. It'll give him some room to punt anyway.
I didn't see the ball carrier.
It was the wing back. It was that...
was it Ellis coming back through
yes,
on the wing back?
On that crossbuck from the wing.
Play they ran so well last week.
Make good.
Poplar Bluff, yeah.
Make good yardage here. Punt up.
Oh. Slow that one down.
And again, it looked like it got caught in that wind and took that backward bounce once it hit the ground. And I'm not sure whether he wanted to catch it, but he was there. Not much else he could do.
Now, they were fortunate then that they did let that bounce because it took a Dexter bounce, and now they open up in the Bulldog territory.
So the Dexter Bearcats have the best field position that they've had all night. They'll start from the Bulldogs' 40-yard line as we're under 10 minutes in the first half left. Man split to this side with the split backfield. Jones, oh, well, we got a flag. We got a flag as Hammer was really through there. He was...
I saw a Bulldog jump, but I believe he was drawn off sides. Let's see what...
Looks like they're going to go...
A procedure on Dexter. That's going to go back 5.
So it'll make it a 1st and 15 for the Bearcats. The Bulldogs still cling to their 1 touchdown lead. The man is split to this side. They're going to run out of the eye. The give is to the fullback, and he's hit immediately. He may have lost even a yard or a half yard.
I think you get a good shot, Jim, with the team right in front of us now, and you can see how close that fullback is to the line of scrimmage. And on that play, he did take off and led the play that the tailback, as he went through the hole, the fullback was leading him. Which sometimes you have to do if you don't have a lot of speed.
Yeah.
You can cheat up a yard or two or take a step up, and you can get the line of scrimmage a little quicker.
It seems, too, to me that with the Bulldogs line, as quick as they are, they're really pushing that line back, and it really makes it doubly trouble for the boys as they cheat up, as you say, a yard or so.
Yeah, it does.
The pitch to the running back, and he doesn't go anywhere, as he'll be lucky to get to the line of scrimmage as he's knocked out of bounds on the far side. And it'll be third.
Matt Heckemeyer, one of the Bulldog linebackers, in on that tackle.
3rd and about 15 or 16 yards. Let's see, 15, 16 yards. Same alignment as they split them out to this side. Quarterback drops straight back. It's the give, and they're going to try the pass this time, and it's going to be intercepted. No, it didn't. It's just over his hands.
Tailback option, it was a pass play from the very beginning, but the tailback was the one that threw that ball and pretty well covered in the secondary. We've got a Bulldog down.
Is that Dennis? I believe it's Dennis. Who?
Carmody.
Carmody was down.
He's up.
He's up and out.
Little razzle-dazzle by Dexter. It wasn't successful, but you like to see some something like that to attempt to get some points on the board.
Try that big play, and it sometimes lifts you up, doesn't it? Probably didn't have a whole lot to lose there.
No, 3rd and long. You had to pick up a lot of yardage.
Uh-oh, way over his head as the Bulldogs really bear down on him now. And nice kick.
Got off a nice punt.
He sure did.
Under a lot of pressure from Vandenbroek.
Sure did. As Vandenbroek really came in hard. He didn't have much help other than that, but the kid got off a nice kick.
Joe Hunter a couple of times has gotten some bad snaps, but he made the best of that one and got off a good punt.
Yeah, he had to go back another 15 yards and
under a lot of duress, too.
Sure
a couple
did.
of Bulldogs bearing down on him.
And the Bulldogs will be starting their offense series from the 26-yard line.
Well, we need to put together a little drive here and use up some time and move it down the field.
As the Bulldogs take over with 7:43 left in the first half, they still have a lead. The give is to Bean as he breaks free. He comes across the 35 down to about the 37.
Dennis running right up the middle behind Lester and Pruitt and Greenwood in there. And Lester, we said him, Hamra, picked up good yardage.
Quick opener, and he hit the hole in a hurry.
Yeah, Dennis is dangerous when he gets in that secondary. He's so quick and aggressive that he can fake people out and pick up big yardage.
Yeah, it's very seldom you see a kid who's got the size that he does along with the quickness that he has.
We've got Latham in at quarterback now. I guess Carmody has not come back in. Look across the way and see if we can spot him.
Is that him walking up and down by the bench? I don't. Looked like he might have gotten a knee in the stomach or so. Gonna let his supper settle maybe. We have Greg Latham at the quarterback. The wing goes to the far side. The give is to Bean. He tries up the middle, and he pops across the 45 down to about the 46-yard line, and it'll be 3rd and about 3 yards to go. Board shows 2, so with 6:39, 7-0 Bulldogs. It'll be a 3rd and 2 from the 46 of the Bulldogs.
Big play here, Jim. Bulldogs need to pick up their 1st and 10 on this play, otherwise they'll have to punt and give the ball back up.
And they've been doing, as you suggested to them, just running that ball up the middle there, and I don't believe he got it.
It's going to be close. That's pretty much in front of us. Just depends on where the ball is marked.
Yeah, where it's. We may get a measurement here, and that's what we're going to get. An official timeout. We're going to get a measurement. It looks like it's a little shy of the 48-yard line.
Ron says about 3.5 inches short.
Okay. Can we expand that ball?
Or wrap the chains around the stakes as they come in.
He got it by that. He had the 3 inches right. He just was on the wrong side of it, wasn't he? So the Bulldogs will keep this drive going. They're at the 48.
Big 1st and 10 pickup for the Bulldogs there. Carmody is back in at quarterback.
As they say, this is a game of inches.
Yes, it is.
There goes that crossbuck again to
Gary Ellis.
Gary Ellis, and he picks up good yardage as he comes across the 50, past the 45, and down to about the 44 of the Dexter Bearcats, and it'll be a 2nd and maybe 1.5 yards or 2 yards.
Gary picked up 3 or 4 yards then, running sideways after he had been hit from the side, but still regained his balance and picked up extra yardage.
Tenen splits out to the far side as Grant comes to this side. Bulldogs in the eye. And Carmody's back in. He gives to Bean. He goes around the far side as he slipped out to the outside. He's picked up the 1st and 10 and in quite a bit as he's just going to be short of the 30-yard line.
Oh, Dennis punished that tackler there, just simply ran over that kid, and of course that knocked Dennis off balance, but that kid's got to think next time Dennis comes around here whether or not I want to make such good contact with him or not.
He'll look around to see if he's got help from behind him, doesn't he?
Yeah, Dennis is powerful. You know, he's in there at 190, and some of these defensive backs are 130, 140 pounds.
Split the end out to this side and run the wing to this side. Bean's got it. He backs up. He was trying to get back outside as the hole closed up after about a yard or two gain.
Yeah, for once the Bearcats stopped that right up the middle very well, and Dennis tried to get off tackle, but by that time a couple more Bearcats were there to make the stop.
So it'll be 2nd and a long 9. The wing goes to the far side, and they split the end out to this side. And the give is to the wing back as it's a wing around, and he's deep. He keeps coming. He'll pick up a yard or two, and he did a good job.
Yeah, Dexter was apparently ready for that play. Had a couple of defenders out here on that wide reverse. It wasn't open to the inside, so Gary did the right thing in trying to get to the outside, but he was there and covered.
The one good thing, I guess we can say, it brings it to the hash mark on this side. Being a right-handed quarterback, he can roll to the far side. That'll give him a little bit of help, I would think.
Yeah, we might look for Carmody to put the ball up this time. There goes Bean into the slot on the right side again.
With the single backfield man. Roll, he does, and it is. And it's going to be complete for a 1st and 10 as Carmody's brought down.
Yeah, good-looking play, Jim. Same formation they ran early in the first quarter, but that time in the first quarter they gave it off to Latham on the dive play up the middle, but this time Dennis goes down about 12, 15 yards, cuts to the sideline, and Carmody put the ball right there.
So the Bulldogs still moving with 3:44 left in the first half and a 7-point lead, which they would like to add to here. The man goes into the slot to this side as they split him out to this side. The give is to the wing back going that side, and Gary Ellis did an excellent job as he just hurdled the down lineman there, and he picked up close to the 1st and 10. He's just been doing some excellent running off of that wing.
Gary's awfully quick. He's not real tall, but he hits that hole so quick, and he does have a lot of moves that he can put on, and that time he hurdled one of the defenders and cut through and picked up yardage.
And one thing about it, he's got a head of steam up when he gets that ball, doesn't he?
Yes, he's out to the outside off that wing and has a chance to get running well.
Tenen's in as he goes down, and we're going to get a touchdown right there.
Now, Dennis Bean broke a couple of tackles at the line and goes in.
He just busted them up. As we add to the score, making it 13-0 with 2:54 left in the first half. Carmody will try to add the extra point here with Tenen doing the holding.
Yeah, good-looking Bulldog drive. A couple of crucial third down plays and picked up the 1st and 10s and marched it down, used up some clock and got it into the end zone. Coach,
they did just what you said. Said to get a hold of that ball and march it right down there, and that's what they've done.
Well, after you watch them 3 or 4 weeks in a row, you don't get their tendencies, but you know what they do the best, and I anticipated that.
Did they get drawn off?
Well, Scott bent over and put his tee forward a little bit, so
must be off on them.
Yeah, Dexter just a little over anxious on these extra points.
You think they'll try it this time? They did it the last time.
Now they're going to try to at least set up to kick it now.
We're going to get a timeout. He's going to say, Coach, don't you think we can, huh? Said, didn't you see me pass that last one? We can do it.
From a yard and a half out.
Let's Let's see. Caldwell goes out. We may
Bean back into the
lineup.
lineup.
We may be getting, as they put back the general offensive line. You know, the Caldwell comes in on the punts and those kinds of things. So he may be going to do that. With a timeout, the Bulldogs up by 13 with 2:54 left in the first half. We've got the breeze picked up again. Might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, Scott would have had to kick that ball in the wind, although with a good strong leg, feel confident he could have made that, but Bulldogs are going for 2.
They're going to try it.
That'll put a strange number on the board if they get this. It'll be 15.
They're running out of the eye. They stack them close, and it's Bean. I mean, he just bulled through there as he got a big opening by Pruitt and Greenwood and Mark Hamra, and he just bulled right on through. As you can see the Dexter linemen, they were just laid right back on their backs.
Yeah, they were blown out by the offensive line, and Dennis just powered into the end zone.
So we do get the odd number, 15-0, as we go down to the last little under 3 minutes in the first half. This might be the good place for his low kick now.
Yeah, into the wind, what you said, and it has picked up. It might be the good time to kick that bounder and try to get down and cover it well.
Get one of those bounders that you get over about the second line there, and it bounces up real high and gives your men time to get down there to him. Huh?
Yeah. I think sometimes those just happen, really. I mean,
you just hope for it.
Yeah, that's hard to practice.
So it'll be Taylor doing the kicking. He kicks off, and it does bounce as they pick it up on the first bounce. Kind of an interesting I don't know if that's a strategy or they're just not sure enough of it to let that ball. It wasn't that far away, it didn't seem to me.
No, that bounced in the middle of 4 or 5 people, any of which it could have caught the ball on the fly possibly, but they elected to let it bounce and see which way the bounce was going to go before they attempted to pick it up.
So with 2:49 left in the half, the Bearcats will take over at their own 27-yard line. Split the backfield, split out ends on both ends. As Jones tries to pass to the far flat, and it was intended for number 43.
That would be Chuck Fowler.
He's a 161-pound senior for the Dexter Bearcats.
Had that been complete, Greg Grant, the cornerback on that side, was right there and would have made the tackle. It would have been a short gain.
It appears that Jones doesn't like to throw very deep. He likes that flat pass.
That's a relatively safe pass, particularly when you roll out and to the side that you're throwing to. But you're right, he hasn't put the ball up deep.
As he barks the signal, he drops back again as he's tried the straight back pass, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he'll lose maybe 2 or 3 yards, depends on where they put his forward progress.
Now Chip Thornton, the defensive end, was right there on the tackle. Tackled him, had a pass completion for a loss.
So that'll be second and about 12 for the Bearcats on their own 25. Well, they move it up to just between the 25 and 26 as we're rolling down to the 2-minute mark. Again, they split to both sides. Line up in the eye this time. As you would anticipate another pass, but they're going to give it to the tailback. And he'll pick up 5 or 6 yards.
That was Hastings on a type of a draw play. Jones showed pass right at the first and then gave to the tailback, Hastings, who did pick up 5 or 6 yards.
So it'll be fourth in the long yardage for the Bearcats, and they'll punt the ball.
Hunter's got to be wondering what type of snap from the center he's going to get this time.
I see he's backed Grant up a little bit this time as he backs up to about the 30-yard line.
Good rush.
And it hurried his kick. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, as he fumbled the ball, he took it on the roll, and then the first boy got by him, and
again, Jim, as you've mentioned on numerous occasions, you don't know which way the ball is going to bounce, and the football does bounce funny. Grant tried to field that ball on the roll, and it just ate him up. It just bounced up his shoulder pads and back to the ground, and Dexter has it.
Also, I believe he kept his eye on that boy coming bearing down on him. Looked like a 2-ton truck on him.
I'm sure he had his eye on him, one eye on the ball and one on the guy that was coming down to make the hit.
So Dexter still retains possession at the Bulldogs 27. We've got a little over a minute left in the first half. We've got a timeout by the officials. Guess some equipment changed.
Big break for the Bearcats. If they can put some points on the board right before half, that's got to be a lift for them.
A rollout by Jones as he tries a long pass, and it's going to be intercepted. Oh, no, it tipped, but I thought maybe he might have caught it behind him after it was tipped.
Yeah, that ball was tipped, and then the Dexter receiver still had a chance on that one after it was tipped up. Ball intended for number 15, Keith Allman.
Now, that's the longest pass that Jones has made, in my memory.
Yeah, I guess he put that up, what, some 20 yards, 25 yards?
Yeah, a good 25 to 30 yards.
And had his man open, had he been able to throw that a little deeper.
Yeah, had he had the strong arm, he could have rolled it over above him. And we've got looks like a little equipment fixing, and now we're ready to go. Bearcats going to pass again as Jones drops straight back, and it looks like he was trying right down the middle, and it's no good. The intended receiver was Hunter again.
Yeah, Hunter, the tight end, right up the middle. He threw that ball in the crowd, and it falls to the ground. Hunter had a shot at it, and one of the Bulldog linebackers had a shot at it.
We've got 46 seconds. The ball still resting at the 27-yard line. It'll be a 3rd and 10.
Might look for draw on this time, Jim, with Hastings possibly.
They did it the last time, but they were running out of the eye. Uh-oh, he dropped straight back. And again, it was Allman.
Allman, Allman took it to the sideline, then cut back across the middle, but pass falls incomplete.
They were almost dictated. Once they tried the pass the first 2 downs, they kind of dictated what they were going to do the last time. Maybe tried to cross them up, as you indicated, maybe a draw play, which is what they did the last time in that kind of a situation.
Thought it might be a good time for the draw, but the Bulldog defenders, I'm sure, had that thought too. I don't know, in the backfield numerous times tonight they've run into each other. I don't know if that's from a little over-aggressiveness or what, but it sure messed up some of their plays with the tailbacks and quarterbacks running together.
Again, as you can see, the coaches are on the field, and this is permissible. And as they talk to the teams in toto. Both teams, as we've said at the start of the program, have an identical series. Dexter lost their first game to Poplar Bluff and then have won the next 3. Sikeston won 2, lost 1, and then won from Poplar Bluff. The only common opponent has been Poplar Bluff of the 2 teams, I believe.
That's right. Of course, we mentioned earlier, too, we kind of feel like the competition that Sikeston has played has been a little superior to Dexter's, but
I think that's true. Same formation as it's in the split backfield, and they're going to drop back to pass again.
He's got some time.
He sure does. Oh, nice play as they just waited on him and just killed him. He went straight up.
Hunter had that ball until Dennis Bean came up and put a hit on him and jarred the ball loose.
It looked like Dennis was just waiting for him to touch that ball as Tennant was letting him go up over him. And Bean just waited till he touched it and just put the hurt on him.
Yeah, they sandwiched him in there. Hunter, big tall kid. I don't know what his height, but again, his weight at 205 had that ball in his grasp until contact from Dennis Bean.
The only thing about it, the weight doesn't mean much when you're in the air, does it?
That's right.
We've got 34 seconds that the Bulldogs will take over on downs. I suspect they'll just run it out here and give her to
Latham, the fullback.
Latham, the fullback.
Probably the last play of the first half, Jim, unless the timeout's called.
He picked up 3 or 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 7. Long 6 maybe. The board shows 6 as we've got 10 seconds and counting. And the Bulldogs come to the line. I don't believe we'll get this one off, as we don't. It's off. That's it. So at halftime, the Bulldogs are up 15 points as we go to the dressing room.
Well, they were tested with a little pass coverage there on that last Dexter drive, and they answered the bell well. We haven't seen that many passes. Well, Dexter put 4 of them up consecutively, and all were well covered. A couple of them were not thrown well, but the coverage was there. So that's enlightening to see that the Bulldog pass coverage has picked up a little.
And the good coverage has made it such that they may be looking for the defensive men the next time.
That's true.
So we'll take a break here for about 10 minutes and be back with you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to halftime 1984. The Sikeston High School Department of Music is to present the 1984 Bulldog Marching Band. The band is directed by Mr. Pat Curry and is led while on the field by junior drum major Miss Christy Latham and by senior drum major 1984 Miss Courtney Corbett. To accompany tonight's twirling routine, head twirler Cheryl Hodges and the exciting 1984 varsity twirling line have chosen the music of pop superstar Billy Joel. Tell her about it. In recent years, the music composed for movies by American composer John Williams has won almost uniform acclaim from audiences the world over. Watch now as the band presents its version of one of his many successful works, the lovely love theme from the movie Superman, Can You Read My Mind? We've now come to a very special segment of tonight's halftime show, the presentation, solo twirling routine by one of this year's senior members of the twirling line. Tonight's soloist is Miss Marcia Harden, the daughter of Ms. Carolyn Harden. Marcia has been a member of the twirling line since 1981 and has chosen the Land of 1,000 Dances for her solo routine. As the band prepares to conclude this evening's performance with the traditional red and black, we'd like to thank you for your kind attention and warm applause, and invite you to continue to support the Marching Bulldogs in tomorrow's Cotton Carnival Parade and at the Marching Festival this Tuesday in Jackson.
Of Bulldog Bearcat football, as the Sikeston Bulldogs are leading the Dexter Bearcats 15-0. Ron, you want to give us the statistics for the first half?
Okay, Jim, looks like we've got it's pretty one-sided, maybe even more so than the score might indicate. Dogs look like they have a total offense of about 119, 111 on the ground and 8 passing. Dexter with almost no offense. They've got 11 yards running and 21 yards passing. They're 4 for 12 passing for a net yardage of 23. They were -2 yards passing in the second, 1 for 7 for -2 in the second quarter. So they're not showing much offense, and their defense, of course, in the second quarter has kind of broke down. They were 30. Their total yards in the first quarter for the Dogs, 31 yards running, no yards passing. They end up with 88 yards then in the second quarter. So it looks like that either the Dogs have figured out the defense or the defense has worn down.
You could tell quite a difference, I think, in the second quarter.
Well, I think, like I say, it's hard to tell from up here, quite at this point. But one or the other, it's getting a whole lot easier to run against Dexter's defense here in the second quarter. Of course, we're still not doing what you and George were talking about we might like to do. We're still not throwing the ball much because we're not having to throw the ball. I guess that's it's that same old idea that if you don't have to throw the ball, there's no reason to throw it up there.
That's correct. I think that's I think that's what's happened a lot of times so far in the Bulldogs games. The defense has really dictated what's happened, to the extent that either the Bulldogs have had a good offensive game or else they've been completely behind in the one game, and they really had nothing else to do.
Of course, Dennis has got about 65 yards. I have him for a total of about 65 yards here in the first half, yards running, so he's a total offense here of about 73 yards in the first half. And, of course, Ellis doing a good job again tonight. He's got a total of 30, so the two of them are accounting for most of Sikeston's offense here in the first half. But I think, Jim, it's a matter now of getting out here and just putting your nose back in there and getting started. They're going back out now, so I'll let you get back to it, and we'll see if we can't hold them down for the second half.
Add another 15 for the second?
But that'd be a good score, 30-0.
As the Bulldogs will receive to come out in the second half, they'll defend the south goal to start with, and they will be going from right to left on your screen. Georgia, I was talking with some boys from Dexter at halftime, and they were kind of concerned with their backfield and what's happening to them. I asked them if it was normal for them to line up in that alignment, and they really didn't indicate it was much different. The only thing that they indicated was it looked like the center of our line was just blowing right through there and pushing them back and causing the confusion that was established in their backfield.
Yeah, I think that's the key. The defensive line has been so quick to get off the ball at the first Dexter movement, and they're just blowing the lineman back and messing things up in the backfield for Dexter.
It, as Ron was telling us on the statistics, a -2 yards is awful good defense in that second quarter.
That's good, tough defense. Of course, offensively, I didn't hear all of the stats, but it's just Dennis Bean, 2 touchdowns and 1 2-point conversion and 65 some odd yards rushing in the first half. So he's had a sterling first half behind the good offensive line of the Bulldogs.
He had 65 and Ellis had 30, I believe it was. So a good running offense.
Well, everything that we thought the Bulldogs would do is, as a good football team will do, they're going to run the football until they're forced to pass. And so thus far, Dexter has not stopped the Bulldog rushing attack, so there's really no need to vary from that. Just keep punching up the middle with Bean and Latham and back through, and just keep marching up and down the football field and putting points on the board.
You know, the good thing about this, particularly in the running game, it has opened it up that so far we've seen, since Carmody has taken over as quarterback, you've got 3 men who have run considerable yards in a particular game. You've got Ellis, you've got obviously Bean, and you've got Carmody, who had a good night one night. So, and I think Latham, when given the opportunity, can do the same. So it's going to keep somebody from keying on an individual man.
Runs very well, mostly used for a blocker, and Latham is an outstanding blocker.
Okay, that's Ellis with the ball, and he breaks through as he comes to the outside. He may go all the way, but he's caught from behind by number 35.
That's Scott Hastings from Dexter that ran down Gary Ellis, who was just about gone.
As he crossed the 45, and they'll put him down as his knee touched on about the 49 of the Bulldogs.
Isn't Ellis quick?
He just sure is.
Pops through there and low to the ground, and there he goes.
I think that's the key. He's not necessarily fast, but he sure is quick. He gets in the holes in a hurry. He gets outside. I guess flat speed he probably doesn't have, as you saw Hastings catch him, but he sure got down the field in a hurry.
Now he gets in that hole and out pretty quick.
Yes, he does. It's Carmody back at the quarterback, and Bean gets the ball as he just comes plowing up through, and I believe he'll get across the 50-yard line.
I'm sure Dexter, Jim, at halftime talked about trying to stop the rushing game of the Bulldogs if they're able to physically. To stop Dennis Bean up the middle and off tackle, and if they're able to do that, they may have some success. But with that big, again, Bulldog offensive line, they've got their work cut out for them.
They, like Sikeston, have several boys going both ways. Strength here will be a telling factor, particularly come that fourth quarter. Bean still on his feet. He crosses the 45, and he's down to about the 42-yard line.
A good example there, Jim. Dennis just ran through 3 or 4 tackles and left Dexter Bearcats laying on the field just grasping as he runs by them. He punished them.
He has really been doing a good job of running. It's third and short yardage, maybe a yard and a half for the Bulldogs in Bearcat territory. The wing on the far side, out of the eye of the Bulldogs come. The give is to Latham, who hits the hole quickly. And he'll pick up the 1st and 10 and then some as he goes across the 40-yard line down to about the 39 of Dexter.
Yeah, again, you see more times on those short yardage, those quick hitters, they do give it to Latham right up the middle, and he does pick up the 1st and 10.
So the Bulldogs have been able to utilize almost all their runners in that kind of a capacity. We haven't seen a whole lot of passing, but as Ron and I talked about a little bit ago, they really haven't had to pass.
Well, it's a good, well-balanced rushing attack.
The give is to Latham. Was on the split backfield as he had a little cross buck across the middle, and he'll pick up another 3 or 4 yards.
Dennis that time started in motion to the far side and left Latham in the backfield by himself and picks up about 5.
And again, there you run Dennis as a decoy, and it opens up some holes in and of itself.
Or you may be setting up another play with throwing to him off that motion.
Right. Out of the eye. The pitch to give on the wing back, and they were ready for Ellis on that little wing back.
Big number 77 for Dexter, Trey Parsons, 255 pounds, wrapped up Gary. I think one way to stop Ellis there was indicated as soon as Ellis hit the hole, Trey just wrapped him up and drove him to the ground.
Quite a difference between those two, isn't there?
Yes.
As we've just opened the third quarter, Bulldogs up by 15, and they have the ball in Dexter territory. Motion just over the middle of Vandenberg, and he drops the ball.
little quick pass to Chris right over the middle, pretty well thrown, real quickie type of a thing, but Chris was not able to hang on to it that time.
And he'd have had some yardage there had he hung on to the ball. It was just a slant in off the end, and the quarterback just raises up, pops it to him, and he's down the middle.
Once again, Carmody sent Bean in motion to the right.
And it looked like it helped open up that middle.
Yes, it did.
Punt by Carmody. It's going to be a short one, and it'll go out of bounds right at the
end of the first and 10 marker.
It looks like they did at the end of the first and 10 marker. Won't hardly have to move them. So the Bearcats will get their first chance at the ball this second half, trailing 15-0.
That'll certainly hurt Scott's punting average there, as that punt only went about 4 or 5 yards, shanked it off the side of his foot.
Yeah, I was kind of watching him there, and it looked like, although there wasn't that much pressure, he was short-legged it.
I think going for the corner over on the right side, but just didn't get all of it.
As Hastings pops across the middle and comes to the outside, he'll pick up 3 or 4 yards. Looked like he did a lot more running than that.
Yeah, Gary Ellis came up again now on the defensive side of it. Ellis makes the tackle.
As you watch the Bearcat cheerleaders, they're trying to get their boys encouraged. We've got 8:23 left in the third quarter, with Dexter trailing 15-0. The pitch is out, and it's a fumble, and we've got the ball down. It's still open. I'm not sure who did. The Bulldogs get it?
No, I believe Dexter's going to retain that.
He'll lose about 6 yards away. It'll be third and about 15.
Bulldogs are just coming full go at them now, Jim. Dexter's pretty much abandoned their run, or they're trying to run and not getting much success, and the Bulldogs are putting a lot of pressure on their passing game, so Dexter's, I think, is kind of befuddled right now as to what to do.
That middle of the line really pushing everything right back in on them. And there they tipped the ball as, again, the center of the line, Pruitt, and 74 Caldwell just blew right into the middle of the line.
Carter, those big kids just raised up, and somebody batted that pass down.
It'll be a 4th and 15 from the Dexter's 26.
So once again, I don't think Dexter had a whole lot of...
Did you notice this? They shift Grant and put Bean back to receive the punt this time. Dennis takes it on a full run as he cuts upfield, and he's not going to get far, but he had
tackle.
A full head of steam up as he was coming, didn't he?
Number 60 for Dexter, Aaron Worrell, made a nice tackle on Dennis Bean. Started to mention, Jim, on that offensive set for Dexter, I don't think they had a whole lot of offensive yardage in the first half, but on that series they netted a -4 or 5. They lost yardage on that possession, so that certainly does not help to their total yardage.
The Bulldog defense, as you say, looks like they've really found a place to have some fun now.
Yeah.
The give is to Bean. He tries outside and doesn't get anywhere there. The fake was to the fullback, and the give was to Bean.
Yeah, big 77, Trey Parsons for the Bearcats making the tackle again. Big kid at 255.
Loss of about a yard. It'll be 2nd and 11 with 6:49 left in the third quarter. Bulldogs are winning by a score of 15-0. It was 2 touchdowns and 3 points by the extra point. The first one was a kick, the second was a run, and therefore we have the 15 score.
Latham, the ball carrier, on that hit right up in the middle and picks up about 5. The 2 back that we lost and 3 positive yards.
So it'll be 3rd and long, about 7. We'll see if we get a passing down this time. Ellis split to the far side as Grant comes to this side. Bean goes in
Going to
motion.
throw to Bean out in the flat.
I believe you're right, as he goes right out in the flat, and he's got his 1st and 10, and he just runs over the other, picks up another 2 yards.
Why not? When you've got an offensive weapon, just use it.
So it'll be a 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs from the Bearcat 37, as they keep the drive alive. The good thing of that is Dexter had played that as a passing down, and yet the Bulldogs had Bean wide open.
Like we thought, Dexter knew that was coming too, and still were not able to stop it.
Fake to the wingback going the far side to give to Latham, and he'll pick up another 3 or 4 yards. He crosses the 35 down to much more than that. He picked up 6 or 7, didn't he?
Yeah, good blocking up front by Lester and Carter off the left side of the line.
As he's just of the 30-yard line. Ellis and Grant both split to this side. Out of the eye they come. The give is to Bean, and he tries up the middle. He's still up as a whole team piles in on him. And he'll pick up a couple of yards. I believe he's shy of the 1st and 10, though.
Even with all the positive yards that Dennis is picking up, he's getting hit right at the line of scrimmage there. When they're able to stop him, there's a couple, 2 or 3 Bearcats that are making contact, and pretty good contact on Dennis. He will know he's played a football game when this is over.
3rd and short. Good down to play on as they're in Bearcat territory, short yardage on the 3rd down. They're running out of the eye. The give is to Latham, and he goes right up the middle, and he picks up the 1st and 10 and then a some.
Bulldogs using the clock well,
as they just keep running that ball right down the field as they're at the 25 of the Dexter Bearcats. At this stage, they look pretty well in control of the ball game.
They certainly do, Jim. I agree with you. Everything they're doing seems to be having some success. So,
motion again. They're going to pop real quick. Same play that they tried to Vandenbroek just a little bit ago, and this time it's tipped by a lineman.
Again, wide open. That's only a 3 or 4 yard pass, but had he completed that, he would have picked up some positive yards. I suspect we'll see that again, and they want to work out here and to run it well before this game's over.
And that is really a timing play. It's one of those that I think Scott will learn that he can throw it a little higher with the height that Vandenbroek's got.
Yes,
The give is to Ellis, and they're waiting on that again. Again, it looks like they were a little mixed in our backfield. The handoff was a little quick.
Yeah, Scott and Ellis bumped together there a little bit. Their exchange route real good, and they did make a little contact and gave the Dexter a chance to come in and make the play.
As we're down under 4 minutes with the 15-point lead of the Bulldogs, it'll be a 2nd and 12 for the Bulldogs, and we've got a timeout, Bulldogs.
Well, if we continue to move the football down the field and get this one into the end zone, I think probably in the 4th quarter we'll see some reserves come in and get some valuable playing experience again. Coach Victory is good about that when the Bulldogs do have a lead, that he works players in and gives everybody a chance. And down the road, we've remarked before that you never know when one of your starters may get injured or may have to be out, and somebody that does have some experience can step right in and play for you.
In fact, the Bulldogs have already experienced that, where they've had to do that, and you never know, as you say. Carmody comes back to the huddle as we're about ready to play.
I don't know why they call a timeout there, other than maybe Scott wanted to go over and maybe clarify on this 3rd down play. It's 3rd and long, 11 or 12, to get the right play to pick up this 1st and 10, although they're in 4-down territory.
Sometimes your quarterback sometimes feels that he might know something that maybe he doesn't think maybe the coaches have picked up. And,
that's true.
Being in, coming back to the far side.
Scott slipped just a little bit. He was trying to hit Grant out on the wing coming back across the middle.
That's the same formation as they have thrown both the flat pass to Dennis on and all the little cut in by Vandenbroek, and they just come to the opposite side. I guess
the wide side of the field over here. That play was pretty well set up. Grant's out here covered one-on-one, and Bulldogs try on 4th down.
And he may have said as he came back to huddle that he'd been wide open many times. The rollout, and number 50, he's a big boy.
Jeff Jarrell, yeah, 218 pounds, ran Scott Carmery down on that. Scott was going to keep that and sweep this left side. Had Dennis Bean out in front of him, but that play was stopped by Dexter. Good play by them.
Again, there's your experience when you learn that run on the end, that you can't hesitate. You may give him a fake in, but you got to keep going with that man.
Yeah, you got to
make blockers block and keep going.
You got to cut it upfield as quick as what you can and try to get forward. And you string it out the sideline, you're generally not going to pick up much yardage.
In the eye, Jones gives to the tailback, and he just doesn't make anything. He's stopped right at the line of scrimmage by the center of the line.
Yeah, that's Hastings running back in behind that big fullback, and very little yardage.
Hunter back in, and Dowdy back in. Excuse me, Slaving's back in.
Again, I think like we saw last week, Poplar Bluff down a couple, 3 touchdowns late in the game, 3rd quarter or so, and still continue to keep the ball on the ground. Nice catch.
Bauman is the receiver as he's just short of the 1st and 10. So it'll be 3rd and short for the Bearcats on their own about 42-yard line. Again, they try the power eye. As
little
we
movement.
Start quick. He's still up, still trying to go, but he's made his 1st and 10 as he crossed the 40-yard line.
That play kind of started out staggery. People were jumping. Apparently the Dogs were a little over-eager. Nobody jumped off sides, but didn't look like that play was very well timed.
It sure didn't. It looked like it got downfield in about half slow motion, didn't it? But it worked.
Yeah, got their 1st and 10.
So they're running out of the split backfield. Jones is back to pass over the middle, and it's intercepted.
Heckemeyer.
Heckemeyer intercepts, and he's ready to go.
Uh-oh, watch out.
He'd been watching that Sunday football. He said, I was down, but nobody touched me. I'm ready to go.
Then big 77 over there comes over again. Trey Parson was going to make sure that Matt didn't go any further, but he was down when his knee touched the ground back at, what, about the 47?
Looks like a 47-yard line of the Bulldogs. They'll have good field position as we've got just over a minute and a half left in the the 3rd quarter, as the Bulldogs still holding on to the 15-point lead that they went out at halftime with. Grant comes to this side. In the slot is Ellis as he goes in motion. And the give is to Latham, first man through. Looks like he almost missed that handoff.
Yeah, over the left tackle there, and short yardage from him. The 68, Tom McClarty, out of the game.
And Carter back in. Put Tennant on the wing this time as Bean goes in motion. And the kiss to Latham as he comes across the 45. It'll be 3rd and long for the Bulldogs as we're just...
Ken getting a little work tonight.
Yes, he is.
Out of that fullback position.
Look like they're trying to give him a little experience in maybe keep it off of Bean a little bit here.
Yeah, he does such a good job of blocking for Dennis. He doesn't carry nearly as many times as Dennis does, but he does an outstanding job of blocking for him.
That's sometimes the unsung hero. That is the toughest time to block, as you go around the end trying to get the end or the cornerback in or out, isn't it?
Yeah, you try to block him to the outside if you can and let your back cut to the inside. Sometimes he, of course, won't allow that, and it's a tough block. The tailback just has to read what you're trying to do to the defender and go from there.
As you watch Sunday football, while you see those fullbacks or tailbacks, they have a way of running and help set up that block, don't they? By the way they veer in or out and help the blocker by causing his opponent to, say, move one way or the other.
Yeah, they use a lot of shield blocking just when they get out there and jam that up a little bit, and then they let the ball carrier read it. And those guys do an outstanding job of reading the play, and then they can cut to the inside or outside, whatever's there for them. We punt again.
So with a 4th and long, the Bulldogs are going to punt. Good snap, punts up, good punt. As it's taken 15 by Dexter, and I mean the Bulldogs take him right there as he'll pick up to about 17-yard line. As they were waiting on him, there was 3 Bulldogs there.
Chuck Fowler, 43, received that punt for Dexter.
Greenwood and put it down there, and couldn't tell. It looked like Grant maybe was on the 3rd one there. So we're in the 4th quarter as the Bulldogs are 15-0. It'll be Dexter's ball on their own, let's say, 18-yard line. So it's defensively, it's good field position for the Bulldogs. As Hastings tries to slant outside, he's slowed down first by Ellis and taken down then by a whole host of Bulldogs. Slaving back in. He crosses the 20 and they place it on the 21-yard line.
Dexter still basically staying on the ground. They're passing about 1 every 3 downs or so, but of course the last time they tried to pass, it was intercepted.
The personnel in the formation shows pass. He rolls a little bit, passes, and is it intercepted? No, it's knocked down.
65, is that Joe Civic? That
Civic, yes.
Civic, uh-huh.
Sure is. Was the pass intended? Could you tell who that was for?
No, I didn't catch that number.
I couldn't catch the number out there either. So it'll be a 3rd and long for the Bearcats on their 21-yard line. Allman goes to the far side. Again, this has generally been their passing formation as Jones rolls to the right. He rolls it over and looks like a fumble, and let's see who we get. As you could see the coaches going down trying to help the Bulldogs pick up the ball. Let's see if they got the ball. It got out of bounds.
The Bulldogs have recovered. The offense comes back onto the field. Again, a pretty nice thrown pass as he rolled out and hit his receiver. But somebody came out and put a good hit on him, and he coughed the football up, and the Bulldogs have it in good position.
So the Bulldogs will take over on the, let's see, it's going to be the Dexter's 30-yard line. Looks like 30-yard line. They'll down on the far side hash marks with 10:44 left. The Bulldogs, with a 15-point lead, would like to get something on the board here.
I think one more is a clincher. We've had a couple of offensive sets to try to get that and haven't pushed it in yet, but this may be the set.
Bean takes it. He slides off the guard up tackle side on the left side, and he'll pick up maybe 1 or 2 yards.
Or at least I'm sure some of the reserves hope the first team get a time. They're getting a little anxious over across their way.
Ellis brings the play in. As the ball rests on the, it looks like the 27-yard line of the Bearcats. 2nd and about 8. Split backfield. The pitch outside to Dennis as he cuts upfield. He picks up 5-7 yards. He's going to be close to that 1st and 10, if not past it.
Yeah, I believe he's got it, yeah. Now, Dennis carried 2 or 3 tacklers on his back that time as he motored on down the field for more yardage.
As it was a pitch out to Bean, it got him outside in a hurry. He didn't have to come forward to the get upfield, and he turned it up in a hurry. So it's 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs inside the 20-yard line of the Dexter Bearcats. Unbalanced line this side, out of the eye. They give it to Bean, and he's got it wide open. He could go all the way. Can he dance it? He could not dance the line down. He goes out on about the 4-yard line.
They had the angle on him and ran him out of bounds.
Just enough of a nudge that he couldn't keep his balance down the line.
Yeah, that was a good-looking play. As you mentioned, that was an unbalanced line to the right side, and Dennis ran that side. You've got your extra blocker over there, and that's just one more person to make a hole for you, to spring you through, and they did, and Dennis almost went in.
I don't believe Dexter recognized the unbalanced line. Have they run it before tonight?
They didn't seem to shift down on it any like a team should if they recognize it. That's the element of the prize play. And you don't always run toward that strong side. You run that a few times and get that team to shift down toward it and then go back to the weak side.
Got a little helmet problem or some kind of equipment problem. So Jeff Lester goes out, and let's see who comes in.
Ron Baker.
Ron Baker. Ron, 220-pound junior. We've talked about the size boys. It just seems like that with the weight programs now that you see a lot more 200-plus up to 250-pound kids in high school now.
Yeah, they're getting bigger and stronger.
They sure are.
Got a lot of touchdowns.
Just ran right over them and into the end zone as they just fired it on through there. That was Bean.
Just his 3rd touchdown of the night.
With 9:29 left, we've got 21 on the board.
Dennis has got 20 of them.
And 2 of them have been just like that. He just ran right over them.
Straight up the middle, again behind a good blocking offensive line.
Carmody will kick with 10 and holding for the Bulldogs. And it's up and it's good. The one thing about the 2-point touchdown, it means that they got to take more than 3 touchdowns to win now, and that really kind of, as you say, sews up the ball game, I would think, with 9:29 left in the 4th quarter, particularly with the seeming inability of Dexter Bearcats to run that ball.
Yeah, you're right. They're going to have to go to the pass more often, and the last couple of times they've thrown, they've been intercepted, and then they put the ball up in the air.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of things that you hope doesn't happen.
Ron says, Jim, in the 3rd quarter, Dexter had 9 total yards, 1 rushing and 8 passing. So there again, you can see the ineffectiveness of their offense, or the good job our defense is doing.
And the defense have really shut them down since the 1st quarter. They just haven't, well, you got 9, about 11 yards for the last 2 quarters in. Low kick, down, and it bounces. He takes it on about the 10-yard line, comes right straight up the middle, and he picks up to about the 25, maybe falls forward to the 30.
Tackle made in there by number 86, Tyrone Marshall, a junior.
So the Bearcats will take over on their own 30-yard line. They're trailing by 22. And they've got less than 9.5 minutes to put it up to tie the score.
I see some new numbers in now. Carmody, Latham, one of the inside linebackers, goes off the field.
Allman's in motion for the Dexter as he comes in the flat. The attempt was for him. It was low and behind him.
32, Brian Price into the game for the Bulldogs at a linebacking position.
Number 64.
Willie Gillespie.
He's a 210-pound sophomore.
as Carter goes up. Still got Sells in at a defensive end. Caldwell is in.
Tannen is the cornerback on this side. No, he's the safety on this side, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
As Jones drops deep to pass over the middle, intended for Hunter, a little behind him.
66, Rob McCauley into the game.
Is that 92?
Yeah, I believe that's Ron Sells. I think that's a new number that he's
picked up.
That doesn't show up on the program, but I believe that's the number he's wearing now. Heckemeyer out.
In the split backfield is Jones to pass again.
Got Hunter.
And Hunter takes it on the fly. And he gets his 1st and 10 as he comes down across the 45 of the Dexter Bearcats.
And Hunter's a pretty good-looking specimen there. Got good size, pretty good speed, and good hands. He's caught the ball every time it's been there, with the exception of once down here when Dennis lowered the boom on him, and he did drop the ball, but he's done a good job of catching the football tonight, as Jones has of getting it to.
And in all honesty, that he could probably be forgiven for dropping that ball on the hit that Dennis gave him when he was up in the air.
Yeah, he sure could.
The pitch is to Hastings as they try outside. They spring it out. He still gets outside, and he finally run out of bounds on. He comes across the 50. And he's going to pick up his 1st and 10.
Ellis and Fetch drive him out of bounds, and there's a flag in the middle of the field.
So that could be holding, clip. That would mean a clipping penalty against Dexter, so that'll take it back, nullify that play.
See 42 into the game. That's Chris Taylor on defense. Bulldogs at this time.
That'll bring the ball all the way back to the Bearcats' 39-yard line. It'll give them a 1st and 20. 2nd penalty all night. Ron says that is the 2nd penalty we've had all night. So with a 1st and about 20 yards,
Hadn't been many.
Dexter will try to see if they can get back into the ball game with a little less than 8.5 minutes left. Uh-oh, we got flags all over the place.
Ron just said there hadn't been too many penalties. Now I guess this last quarter is going to take us an hour to get through. Well, that happens too. You've got reserves in there on the Bulldog side, but these penalties are on Dexter, who have continued to run mainly with their 1st unit offense. Could be, again, as you mentioned, they've got some people going both ways, and maybe they're a little tired and losing some concentration here.
Yeah, a little tired and probably frustrated, and as you say, they become frustrated.
Well, they've got to feel that they're beat at this point, 22-0, down that much with 8.5 minutes or less to go.
We've got a officials timeout. Let's see. Not sure what that was for, but he's asking for a new foot. I'm not sure what that was for.
I don't know either. He's standing there with his arms crossed.
He sent the out to the far side over there. I'm not sure what he looks like he's talking to somebody in the stands.
Yeah, I think they told the band to quit playing during the action here. Dexter may have complained about the Sikeston band playing and not being able to hear the signals. I think that's what they're straightening out over there.
Okay.
Wait until, right at the end of the quarter or the game to do that. You have to blame it on something, I guess.
So you got the split backfield again as he drops back to pass. And it's the old Statue of Liberty play again as he takes it around. He's going to be short of the 1st and 10, but he got a good gainer on it.
Yeah, that's Hastings, who probably ran about 40 to 50 yards on that play and then did pick up a few yards.
About 15 he picked up field, didn't he? The ball is going to be placed just across the 50-yard. It'll be a 2nd and Oh, about 8. No, not that far. It'll be about 6, won't it? 6 or 7. We got Brad Oftenberg in the backfield now. Again, to give this side, they're going to try the
left-handed. He's open.
And it's incomplete as it bounced. Allman caught it on the bounce and tried to hope the official didn't see him.
Yeah, Hastings put that ball up left-handed a good distance and almost had his receiver.
As we've got a little over 7.5 minutes left, the Bulldogs on top by 22. And I guess the goal for the defense now is hold them so they get no points.
Dexter, I think, trying to take advantage of some of the reserves in the secondary for the Bulldogs. His number 18, Darrell Brown, is into the game in the secondary.
Again, Jones back to pass as he's given to Hunter, and Hunter receives the ball. He picks up his 1st and 10 and then some as he goes across the 35 down to about the 32-yard line.
Yeah, Jim, no wonder we got a sheet of stats here that Dexter, Hunter from Dexter, number 44, who's caught a couple of plays here, is leading the district in receiving.
Who's the boy from Jackson there? That's what we've got to see.
Wendell.
Wendell, yes. They've got a good team that so far, again, those are the, may make a difference as to who you're playing, but they've been passing that ball quite a bit.
Hunter leads with 13 receptions going in tonight. Wendell from Jackson had a dozen, and Hines from East Prairie had a dozen. Bean leads in scoring, and he certainly has added to that tonight with 3 touchdowns and a 2-point extra point.
They're in the territory on the Bulldogs' 28-yard line. It'll be a 2nd and about 7 as Jones rolls to pass, and it's intended for Hunter again, but it was low and way down in front of him.
Yeah, that was a poorly thrown pass.
So we've got 6.5 minutes left in the ball game. Dexter's trailing the Bulldogs. It'll be 3rd and about 6 or 7. They're in the eye as they split the end to the far side. The give is to Hastings up the middle as he comes across the 30 down to the 25 and just crosses the 25, and he's still short. It'll be 4th, about 2 yards, I guess. 4th and 2.
Jim, we've talked before, too, about the complicated point systems involved in the Missouri State playoff situation, and according to this sheet, Ladue is number 1 in 5A District 2, and Sikeston is 2nd. Ladue has 26.75 points, and Sikeston has 24. We meet Ladue later in the season.
That's the last game of the season?
Yes.
Maybe it'll be for the... Oh, an interception there. As Bean has it, he goes to the far side, and he puts a fake on, and he doesn't fake anybody, so he just tries to roll over him, but he gets the ball, crosses the 15, so it'll be Bulldog ball with 5:41 left in the ball game and the lead by 22.
Back to Ladue, going in tonight's game, they were 4-0, where Sikeston was 3-1. Kind of surprising, number 3 in District 2 5A is Cape Central with a 1-2 record with 22.50 points.
Well, see, they have played most all of their games have been out of St. Louis teams.
And they have Vianney tonight.
Vianney or Vashon?
Vianney, according to this.
Let's see, the give was to number 30, was that 35? 35. Mark Wiggins. He's a 155-pound junior. Now we'll try to see if we can get all these numbers in. We've got...
I see number 78, Brent King, is in at an offensive tackle.
Okay. Latham quarterback. Wiggins with the ball. Uh-oh, we got some flags down.
Yeah, 36, Gerald's Taylor, Chris Taylor in at fullback.
16.
I
don't see a 16.
No.
That must not be a 16. Maybe that's...
I think it is number 16. We just don't,
we don't have
one showing up in our program.
We've got a 15, Darrell Brown. Let's see what we've got here. We've got a flag about the 25-yard line, and it's going to be against Bulldogs. Clipping, offsetting penalties. Unnecessary roughness, and is that what they call it now? 2.
Brian Nickel.
Brian Nickel, he's a 190-pound sophomore.
Now have they decided to penalize the Bulldogs?
It looks like as I understood the first time, it was offsetting penalties, wasn't it?
But I think they're going to march it the other way now.
Thank you.
Well, they're still to fit here what we're going to do.
Well, let's see. Now what are we going to do? 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to come back this way.
They must know they're on camera.
They must have. They pick it up, go backwards, come right back to where we are.
Personal foul, Dexter. It was clipping on Sikeston.
Okay. Oh, I guess it must have after the play ended, so that's the way you have to do it. Yeah, dead ball foul. Gerald's in motion, and a give to Taylor.
Taylor, for the 1st and 10.
Looks like a Dexter boy down, and we've got a timeout.
Darrell Wasson, number 80, into the game for Logs.
Number 67 is Brian Dillon. He's a 170-pound sophomore.
33, Keith Buck leaves the game for the Bulldogs.
72 is Brian Nickel, we've said. 80 is, as you said, Darrell Wasson. He's a 180-pound sophomore. It gets them all on this side. If we can get them to turn the huddle around, well, we could pick up the others, couldn't we? An official timeout for the injured player.
Well, he hadn't moved much.
He sure hadn't.
Wiggling a little bit now, but no. Jim, it might take a minute. We've been here 4 weeks in a row, and now for the next 2 weeks, the Bulldogs go on the road. Next week, they've got an awfully tough opponent when they go to match one of Kentucky's finest, when they go to Paducah to meet Tillman. The following week, they're back on the road to Kennett before we come back to host homecoming and the Cape Central Tigers. So the Bulldogs have been home for a while. Now they leave, and next week's game is, I would have to rank Tillman in the same class possibly as a Kirkwood. They're ranked right up near the top in Kentucky, and I'm sure the Bulldogs are going to have their hands full next week.
I've learned some really astounding information to me this last week at the coffee shop. Happened to be sitting with the principal of the high school, and he hinted that Paducah is a smaller school than we are.
Is that right? I wouldn't have figured that.
They're just under 1,000. We're sitting at around 1,300, and you know, we were talking about Kirkwood being a 3,000 pupil school. They're 1,500.
1,500.
Poplar Bluff is around 1,500.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really surprised me. Wiggins goes wide as he keeps going. He's thrown out of bounds after a pickup of maybe 2 or 3 yards. 40 wide and 2 long.
Right. Well, I can remember talking about Tillman again a few years ago when we used to go over there and play freshman football. They had 2 junior highs, Brazelton and Jatan. And one year when we played both of those teams, both teams dressed out about 60 or 70 kids, and these are 9th graders, and these just feeding into Tillman as sophomores, and I could understand why the Tillman varsity team was good year after year with a feeder system
Well,
like
they've got
that.
about 4 high schools over there.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference. One other thing, too, that is a factor, they start about 2 weeks before we do.
Right. The different state, the practice laws are a little bit different, a little more lenient than what we're allowed to do.
So with about 4 minutes left and the Bulldogs with a lead of 22 points, Bulldogs have the ball with a third and about 7 from their own, let's call it, what is that, 32-yard line? They're in the eye. As we're getting some, maybe his jersey.
Yeah, I thought it might be a face mask.
I did too. That is Darrell Brown. He's wearing 18 instead of number 15 as he's listed in the score book. Darrell is a 145-pound sophomore. Almost all the boys that on the field at this time are sophomores. Good snap. Punt, nice punt. As he drives him back to the 30-yard line, and Vandenbroek hits him.
Yeah, 43. His knee touched the ground right back at one point, so they're going to bring the ball back.
Both slipped at about the same time, and it's head-on collision. So Dexter will take over on their 30-yard line with a little over 3 minutes left to try to get something on the board.
See number 11, Jim Laughlin, into the game for the Bulldogs. At 54, Shannon Montgomery.
92 is, that was Ron Sells before, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Jones fades to pass. No good. Thrown right behind him, and it was Almond, number 15, is the intended pass receiver. So what we're playing for now is a clear slate for the defense, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to continue to have that shutout through the rest of this game and just add a little pride.
About the only thing Dexter can do here is get that ball in the air, and that's what they're doing.
At least they're trying to throw it. Last week, Poplar Bluff just ran it out, grinded it out, and same results, we hope. But Dexter is trying to move the ball through the air.
Bulldogs had some pretty good pressure on Jones that time.
Yeah, knowing that he has to pass, they are putting some pressure on him.
Brian Price is calling the defensive for the Bulldogs. As Jones barks the signals, he fades again to pass. Throws long over the middle, and it's to Hunter, and he catches it as he crosses the 50-yard line. Nice catch.
Jim Laughlin on the Bulldog tackle there. That Hunter's a handful.
Yes, he is. Shows him as, a 205-pounder. He's a senior. As the clock starts again, we've got 2.5 minutes left in the ball game. The Bulldogs are up by 22, and Dexter trying desperately to get something on the board. He hits, and they just run him back. He gets up close to the 1st and 10, and then he's forced back to the
42, John Piles on that reception.
As the clock's still running down to close to the 2-minute mark. The ball is on the 41-yard line of the Bulldogs. It'll be a second and short yardage for the Bearcats.
Dexter appears to want to get in the end zone as much as we want to keep him out.
Yes. Here the backfield, I guess, will play loosely to make sure that all passes are in front of them.
The band's playing right during the offensive play again over there.
Incomplete, intended for Hunter again, as it was low. And we're down to about 1.5 minutes. Clock stopped on the incomplete pass as Allman brings the play in from the bench. So the question is, can the Bulldogs keep the Bearcats blanked for another minute and 35 seconds. It's 3rd and about 1. And he fades to pass. I thought maybe he might try the quarterback sneak, and he just tries. Oh, he missed him, and that slowed him down enough.
Finally by Geralds and Price.
He got by a couple of Bulldogs.
C61, David Newton into the game for the Bulldogs.
They rule him down on the 10-yard line, so it'll be a 1st and 10 for the Dexter Bearcats as they call a timeout. Rodney, do you have the time when we're going to rebroadcast this? Not sure yet. Tuesday. Okay. Tuesday at 6:30 is the rebroadcast time. So we got a minute 21. Bulldogs trying to stop the Bearcats as they will pick up the defense at their own 10-yard line.
Robert Yoakley out of the game for the Bulldogs. Laughlin out. Newton out.
So we're getting
long
ready
time
for
out.
play. Yeah, it is. It seems like a long time out. Dexter's coach came off the field.
Now another one's back on.
Comes back on the field as Coach Fiddler stays in and I guess places each one of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to dance here to keep warm. Okay, we're ready to play.
I see 79. Caldwell is back into the front defensive line for the Bulldogs.
Put a little beef on that line. They're going to give to Hastings as he tries the far side, and he pick up maybe a couple of yards as they try to run it in.
Dexter hurrying up. Will run the play on a scrimmage and not go to the huddle.
As we're running down to a minute left in the ball game, and they're going to try the hurry-up offense here. And the give is to Jones as, let's see, he's number 79.
Caldwell applying an awful lot of pressure to Jones and made him hurry up and throw that one.
As he really rushed him, and we're down under 1 minute left in the ball game. It'll be, I can't tell whether it's got to be 3rd and about 6 or 7, or whether it's 3rd and goal.
Looks like it's right on
close.
it.
Yeah, it sure is. This is a telling down, I'd say. And
looking
again,
for a problem, yeah.
Deflected and almost. So it'll be a 4th and 6 or 7.
Brad Offenberg in to help break up that pass.
4th and about 6 or 7, and obviously they'll try it. We've got 48 seconds to go.
And Dexter wants another
And
timeout.
they're going to call another timeout.
They think that 6 or 7 will look a lot better on there than that old goose egg, won't they? Of course, I think at this point too, you're playing for next week. If you're Dexter and you can push this in and get the touchdown, then something to rally around a little bit to work on your practices for next week and to help you going into next week's game.
And it's you know, you just hate to go out with not scoring points. That just it's one of those psychological barriers, isn't it?
Dexter's not that far away, and it's not that long of a bus ride home, but you still like to have gotten some points on the board.
So with 48 seconds, Dexter on the Bulldogs. What is that? Is it the 5-6 yard line? 6 yard line, about that. And again, Coach Fiddler taking all the time he can take in setting his defense.
Of course, I think if Dexter and Jones throw pass immediately, I would double cover or triple cover Hunter. I'd find out wherever Hunter's going and try to cover him because he's the one they want to get the football to.
Hunter and Allman have been the only 2 targets. And he's going to roll back this side. And it was Hunter tried. It was
just a little bit high.
In fact, it was a pretty good play, really.
Yes, it was.
The quarterback running the opposite way. It wasn't that badly a thrown ball.
Hunter came all the way across the field in the end zone, and it was just a little thrown a little bit high.
And he made a good effort to try to
did.
catch it. So with 42 seconds, the Bulldogs will have to run the clock out. I suspect we'll just see them kind of go slow, huh? Just
up the
ball
middle.
Down.
Up the middle.
As the clock starts, with the snap of the ball is given up the middle, as George says, and the clock begins to wind.
A few more players in there. There's 5 of them that have run in now.
See if we can clear the bench and let everybody have an opportunity to play here. I'm just about to chatter my teeth. Has the temperature dropped that much?
Maybe we'll close this window.
We've got 10 seconds and counting down, and the give is middle again, and that should be the end of the ball game there. As there goes the gun. It's the Bulldogs with a 22-0 win over the Dexter Bearcats, making the Bulldogs 4-1. George, what are your thoughts?
Good game, just as it was last week. Good ground game against an opponent that just couldn't stop your rush and attack, and the Bulldogs just kept coming back with them with rush after rush, and had some success to build on here going into next week. They've got the tough Paducah-Tillman team, and I'll hand this over to Ron, Jim, and I'll see you in about 3 weeks, I guess, back here.
See you later, George. I encourage you all to attend the game if you can next week, and the Bulldogs will be on the road the rest of the season except October the 19th, which will be both homecoming and the Cape Central will be there. Ron, you ready?
Yeah, I think so, Jim. It looks like for the first time tonight, Dexter has outdid Sikeston in the 4th quarter. Of course, most of it was throwing the ball. They threw the ball 17 times, looks like, in the 4th quarter, completing 5 for 66 yards. Ran the ball 32 yards, which is, like I say, by far their best quarter. 98 against probably some of the second team, or some of the younger
sophomores in the
a lot of sophomores in that. The Bulldogs' total for the second half was 77 yards, 49 yards in the 4th quarter. So looks like that the Dogs again up there around that 200-yard mark and shut Dexter down. They except in that last quarter. So good ball game overall, and we'll look for them for next week at Tillman.
All right, this is Jim Green for Ron Klutz and George Hale saying good night, and we'll see you October the 19th.
Southeast portions of Missouri and Illinois. Winds were from the north to northwest, and temperatures were cool to cold.